Yeah, so it's actually a really decent playing and sounding guitar. Like I say, I had to work for a few months and get it much better. Once I came here and I opened up my shop, I was able to like dick around with it even more. There's some stuff on the neck, like I said, I'd like to do. I'd like to reshape the back and make sure that it's actually like the real thing. Let's turn on some effects. Good guitar for Jimi Hendrix, right? Alright. Distortion. This is kind of where this guitar comes alive. It likes distortion. So, the reason why I don't like this whammy bar system that it's got is it's got the turn-on thing, the little the way this hooks in here. I really dislike these, mainly because if you don't keep that tight, this becomes loose, and when you go to whammy it, it actually does this. See, it becomes loose. And therefore you don't get a nice whammy, which is why I really dig the edge tremolo systems that the real Ibanez Jims have. But this is the same system that I have on a couple of EVH guitars that are made through Fender. I don't dig those. But this is also the same system that's on the Chapman guitars as well that are made in Korea. They have this little where this thing just unscrews and screws on, and I really dislike it because you can't really keep them tight. And if you do keep them tight, all you have to do is move it a couple times, and now, see, I can tighten it down. You can see here how it's really tight. But I go like that once, it's already loose. So I really dislike that. It sucks. It really sucks. Okay, and we're in the flow. Move to this one and this one together. I'll turn off the effects. I don't dig them. Then we got just the cruiser. I really dig this guitar. It plays really decent. I don't play it a lot, but it's really cool to get it out every once in a while just for the fucking sustainer. I just like it because of the way it looks. I've always thought that the Steve Vai guitars are just they're really beautiful guitars, and even if it's a fake, it still has the essence of what makes the Steve Vai gem really cool. So even if you don't play it, you can play it. And it's kind of nice to just kind of hang it up on the wall and just look at it, because I just like the way the gems look, especially the white with pearl pickguard gems. You know, like I say, I just wish this was white, and I wish this was white, because that would make it really cool. I just like the way that looks, and then I think this looks a little bit hokey. You know, it's kind of a, you know, you can see the. I just don't like the way it looks. You can see how clunky it looks, you know. I want one of those really cool ones like the I guess he's got a double one on there now, the Buckethead guitar. He used to just have one like right back here, and now I guess he's got one here and up here somewhere, I think. I seen on his guitar. So he used to just have this really cool red circle here, which is what I'd like to get. I don't care about having it here. I'd rather have it like right here, because when you're playing, it's a lot easier to kind of, you know, like this while you're playing, you can, you know, it's easy to get to that button with your fingers, you know, when you're playing, because you can still do this, and you know, when you're playing. So it's nicer instead of doing this or even this. I like it in my picking range, so it's much easier to get to when it's right there. And I would kind of rather have it like right here. You know, is where I'd really like to have it, because that actually makes, you know, but there's actually, you'd have to cut out a hole right there. I think that's why I put it there, if I remember right, because there's actually, it was where we wanted to end up putting it, and I'm going to have to drill out a hole right here. I don't know if there's a cavity here, but if I want to put a circle here, I'd have to put a cavity right here, because I'd really rather have it like right there. You can see how far away it is, you know. Because I think that would be a better place, because I typically tend to pick like right here in this area, unless I'm depending on what I'm doing. But this is a much better place, you know, for picking. You know, if I'm picking really fast, I can also do this right here instead of having to go way down here, you know, because then you have to kind of do this thing, you know. But whatever. Now we're just in the sustainer pickup. Now the one cool thing that I really would like to do to this guitar that isn't done is something that some guys may not notice because of not being a guitar aficionado or not knowing much about luthier work or anything like that. You might notice what Steve Vai's guitar has is, if you look really close when he plays, I'm trying to get this up here so you can see it. What Steve Vai has is actually, he has a sustainer in his guitar, so he can automatically play higher than anybody can play, right? But even in the normal setting, what he has here is he has his highest fret here. Then his luthier, I forget his name, he's a really cool guy, he's been with him for many years, put another pickup, or another fret right here that actually affects, I think, just these two strings, just the E and the A, or the E and the B, I mean. And he put another fret here. Then he went and he put another fret here. So he's got, basically, this is your 24th fret, so he's got 25, 26 frets. So he can get that 26th fret way down here by putting it here, and then he can bend it and get up to even a higher note. And then if he has the sustainer on, it sounds like he's way off the guitar, you know. So sometimes you'll see him like doing this kind of stuff when he's playing really fast, and you may not see that finger go like, you know, like this. And he may actually be playing way up here, which means if you're listening to the song and you're trying to play it, you're trying to play what he's playing, you may never be able to get that note, because that note is actually right here, you know. You know, even when you fret like right here, if you fret right here, it's not going to make any noise because the fret's there. But he has another fret here, so if he frets here, he actually gets the 25th fret. And then if he frets here, he gets the 26th. And it's really cool. And the reason why he puts tape right here is because to play those two notes, he has to keep this pickup up higher so that when he plays it, it doesn't go out of tune, you know. And it's set up in a way to where it can stay low enough to where it's not going to buzz and it's not going to cause too much trouble, but also to where when he presses this down a little bit, he doesn't have to press it a lot. It's not really high because they set it up with like jumbo frets, and then they're shaved down just enough to where he can press it down and hit the note, you know. So it's really cool. That's something I would like to do with this guitar as well, is make it to where it has those two frets there. But if you watch the Steve Vai videos, you can check out those two frets. They're about like, you know, maybe that long. They're not very long. They're only about maybe a 1/4 inch, but it's just enough to get you these two strings on both frets, and you get basically your 26th fret. It's really kind of cool, you know. And that's one thing that I would like to do to this guitar. So for the haters of the Korean Steve Vai gem guitar that cost me, I think with shipping it was around $300 maybe. I think that's all I paid for it, about $325, something like that. You know, this is for those. Like I said, I paid like $325 for it, but I've got about I don't know, maybe about $1,400 or $1,500 into it now. You know, and once I get everything that I want, you know, all the parts replaced and things in it, I'll probably have about $2,000 into the damn thing. So it would have been cheaper for me to just go ahead and buy a Steve Vai used one, you know. So yeah. But yeah, if you want to see the things that make a fake, this is an easy way to tell. You can see how that's boxed. On a Steve Vai gem, it's smooth right there. It's also smooth here. It doesn't have this hard edge. It's actually rolled over, and so is this. It's rolled over here as well. So those aren't like that. Also this, you can see here how it looks like somebody just hit it with the sander and went like that, and it's just kind of flattened off. The real gem isn't like that. The handle is, you know, a little bit not like that either. You know, that's also, it's more of a smooth transition. It's not such a hard edge like that, you know, like this as well. And I believe this body, I don't believe in tone wood or anything like that, but the bodies of the gems are made with swamp ash, and I believe this is probably just ash or maybe something else. It's not really a very heavy guitar. It's about the same weight, so I would say it's probably close to something, but like I say, tone woods, I don't believe in tone wood, so it's bullshit. Now the other thing, when I got it, it had the deal in the end here. It had the deal to plug it in, but they had made it really cheaply, and it was loose, and you'd plug it in and it was fucked up, and the wiring was fucked up. And when I pulled it out, they had put tape around it, and it was like they were trying to stuff it. I don't know what the fuck they were trying to do. It's retarded, but it was a really long thing, you know. It was like, you know, like freaking that long, you know. It's freaking, and it was stuck in there, and then tape, and it was just retarded. So I pulled it out, brought the wires through. I got a cheapy one of these from like China, and then put this on there, and it actually works, you know, really nice now. It's in the same position, but it would be nice if it wasn't like this. I don't really dig these. The reason why Steve Vai's guitars are actually set to where they face down is because if you step on it, then it doesn't yank it out, you know. And with it facing up instead of down, it makes it nicer. So this one's kind of facing straight out, like an acoustic guitar would have, you know. So I don't really dig that. So I may end up fixing this at some later date as well. But for right now, it's not a big deal. So that's something that typically the copies have problems with this, because this style jack, I believe, is only made through Ibanez, and not many people seem to be able to copy that style. I don't know why, but not many people seem to copy this style right. So yeah, that's this guitar, and that's for the haters of the copy. You know, it's not really that bad of a copy, and after 3 years of dicking around with it and messing around with it, it's actually not too bad of a guitar. You know, seems to have a pretty decent truss rod. The neck's not bowed. Frets are in the right position. It's a I believe it's 24.5 scale length, I think, if I remember right. I have my scale measure in my toolbox outside. So, but I believe that's what it was. I think it was a 24.5 inch scale length. So it's not bad, you know. It plays pretty decent, plays pretty fast. I set the action low. You can see how low my action is. You know, it's set up pretty, you know, pretty low. I've got it, basically I keep all my guitars just above buzzing. I like to basically like lower it until it, every time you play something, it's not really clear, it's buzzing on the frets, and then raise it up until it stops doing that, and then that's where I leave it. So basically that's how I set my guitars up, all of them. So, you know, some people will measure them and, you know, get out to, I have measurers too, I don't really give a fuck about that, but some people will try to do that. They'll try to measure it and say like, oh, we got to have it at this certain height. Each guitar to me is different, and if you set the guitar itself up to play, that's how I think is best to do. Just take each guitar, just like each person, take each guitar at its own respective personality. And some guitars you can't get the action as low as you'd like, and then other guitars you can get it so low you want to raise it. And this is one of those guitars that you can get the action pretty damn low, to where it's just a couple millimeters off the frets and it still won't buzz. So I've got it set up pretty low, and I actually just raised it today because I thought it was too damn low. It was just way too low. So I just raised it up about maybe 3 or 4 millimeters. But yeah, so the inlays, a little bit cheesy, you know, they're a little bit cheesy, but it's alright, it's not a big deal, you know, they got the gist of what they were going for. But yeah, that's for the haters. It's a decent guitar, plays great, looks nice. After putting almost $1,000 into it, I've got a pretty decent guitar. Like I say, stays in tune when you fret notes and fret chords. Sometimes a lot of the Chinese versions, you'll fret them, and because of the way the frets are done, they're not sanded, which I've done all that. I put new frets in it, like I say, and then I leveled them all. Some of the frets aren't leveled, so you'll hit a note and it'll actually buzz, or it won't fret right because the fret isn't straight on the neck. It's like a little bit crooked, or it's just back a little bit further. So when you fret a note, it actually goes out of tune. This guitar, all these frets were put in the right position, so it plays great, sounds great. Nothing wrong with it. It's just a cheap guitar that looks like a Jim. That's all it is. It's no different than buying like an RS Prestige Ibanez, you know, like $300-400. Basically, you get the same shit and it'd be made in Korea. So it's no different. It's basically just one of those guitars that they chopped the hole out here and did a little bit of work to it and made it look like the guitar. So basically, that's probably all this is. You know, they scalloped out back here and stuff like that. But basically, that's probably all this is a chopped up Prestige. You know, they probably were making the Prestige models for Ibanez, and they made this copy. They made a few of these copies, and then they were caught doing it, and then they stopped doing it. But I should have bought the other one, because knowing how good this one sounded after fucking around with it for a while, I should have bought that floral pattern, because they had a black one. They had a black one with the floral pattern on it. Really kind of a nice guitar, and I thought about buying it. You know, I should have, because it would have only cost me $600. I think at the time, if I remember right, it was like $600 for both guitars, and they came with no case, which kind of sucked. But you could get for, I think, an extra $120 or something like that. You could get a Ibanez case with it, so it looked like an Ibanez case. Probably a copy of the case as well. But yeah, that's this guitar. That's for the people who wanted to know, the haters, the people who've been writing me for a long time. I've had several comments on this guitar. I've had my channel up for 8 years, and in the last 8 years I've probably had, since I bought this guitar I should say, which was about 3.5 years ago, I've had probably 40 or 50 comments on this guitar. A lot of aficionados of the Jims will see the things right away that make this not a Jim. One thing is the color of the rosewood frets. You know, the rosewood board. You can see how light it is. It doesn't look like dark rosewood. It's a cheaper kind, and it's probably like some kind of an African rosewood. And this here gives it away. You know, the whammy bar being screwed in. That's the first thing I look at to see a copy. Is this, because typically they snap in, they pop in. And then seeing how high this is, it's not a low profile. The Jims have a low profile here, and you can see how it comes up like this. The Jims actually come straight out, and they go out this way. And these aren't on the top; they're actually on the back. You know, facing kind of towards the back instead of facing straight up. These ones face up, and the other ones face backwards. So seeing stuff like that tells you right away it's a copy, you know. And then all you have to do, like I say, is flip it over and look for this here, you know. You look for this, and that tells you it's a copy, you know. So, like I say, it's not that big of a deal. I really like the guitar. I like the way it looks. I like the way it plays. On stage, if you whip it out, nobody really can see on stage that it's not the real thing. Sounds good, plays good, and if you just sit it up on stage under the lights, people are like, wow, that's a really nice Jim. And you just say, thank you. You know, and nobody really knows, because it's sitting next to some guitars like my Gretsch, which is a $6,000 one of 60 guitar. So it's pretty cool. And most people would figure if you can afford a $6,000 Gretsch, you've probably got a real Flow, which would cost you about another $8,000 for the real guitar. You know, $8,000 to $12,000 depending on what you're doing. But yeah, it's pretty cool. Like I say, I got $1,500 into it. I built a Flow instead of paying $8,000. I've got $1,500 in this one. Took a long time to find this sustainer system and whatnot. But yeah, that's this guitar in a nutshell. Thanks for watching. If you like this video, you want to see any other videos of my guitars, share, like, and subscribe. Leave comments in the section below. And have a nice day. Peace.